of the Astro Weather. That's right. We are multi-streaming across a number of different platforms today. And I am still trying to find out how I hit the go live on Instagram, which is where I'm at right now. And I'm just trying to see if I can push this thing live. Hold on one second. Live video. I think this should be right? Audience public. Let's go next. Connect to streaming software to go live. Okay, so I don't, oh, here we go live. I don't know why it's not doing this. All right. I'm gonna have to figure this out. So we may not be able to do Instagram today, but we should be over on Twitter, and we should be over on Facebook as well. So we'll find out. We'll find out how this works. How was everybody this morning? Did you get a reasonable night's sleep? For those of you who are out there already in the world and have been living the life, how's the life you're living? I had the craziest dreams last night. I was dreaming about like drug smuggling. Like I was part of some kind of drug smuggling cartel. It was wild. It was really, really wild. There were stolen cars involved, like massive police shit. It was really bizarre. And yet the strange feeling I had was that like I was innocent. Like it was almost like a bystander to everything that was going on. And boy, it was really, really trippy. Really, really trippy. I changed my melatonin. See, that's what it was. I changed my melatonin. All right, let's see. Who do we have here? We got DJ MC, KK, the California Contrarian, Toronto Escaper. I never make the premiere, but I always watch you live. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Toronto. It's Toronto Casper. Toronto Casper. The new next, Peachy and the pussy down the street pretending to be one of those cookies that always look better than they taste. Little Oreo reference there, I think. We're edging into catism. We're edging into catism there. If all goes well, we'll have a bunch of Astro kittens running around meowing more than Gen Z. I like that. I like that. Soul Traveler, what's happening? Leanne on us here. Hi, Leanne. Janice Phillips. Janice Phillips. If you're new to the show over on Twitter or Facebook, I'm not sure if the Instagram thing is working, but if you're new on the show, we have an amazing chat over here. And people get together and hang out and talk shit and say hello. It's a great way to start your day. If you want to hang out with some very cool, very open-minded, but also very independent and strong-willed people, you're in the right place. Let's see, Misbehaving 2. What's happening? Baruch. Oh, 2 kitties, your favorite animals, at least for now. Good morning. Yeah, I was going with the kind of the yin-yang with the white and the black cat. Anki is demanding his breakfast. We got to feed that boy. Feed that champ. Hi, Susan. Good to see you. Jackie Delario. Artists here giving us the Chinese calendrical update. Let's put it right up there for everybody to see. Woodstake. Day begins. Hour of Metal Dragon. In the month, the Water Horse. Enjoy the day. That sounds very powerful, doesn't it? Devin Dewar is with us at the San Antonio airport. Catch some of the show before my flight. We should be like, this show should be on the screens at the airport replacing CNN. Let's see. Brandy Hadada. Josie's Jazzy Junk. Is this an example? Yin Yang Gemini. Josie Jazzy Junk wins. Yes. You got it. Yin Yang Gemini twins. That's right. I will name their firstborn Oreo. We just talked about Oreo. That is so damn funny. Does anybody have a cat named Oreo? And then there was the Oreo impersonator, the Hydrox. Who names a cookie Hydrox? I never understood that. It sounded like a drug to me. Say, hey man, you got any Hydrox? Yeah, it's in the cabinet. We scored some. Yeah, we got it at QFI. QFI was an old grocery chain back in the day. Stephanie Hunter's here. The kitties are very, very popular today. Noel Way is here. Yes. Locos it up. Come on over. PMSO, there's Janine. It is Thursday. That's right. The mayor of Thorlandia. Hit that like button and the bell. Ring that bell. Heidi last night in a beautiful thumbnail. Yeah, we've been having fun with the Gemini theme. And if you feel so inclined, you can buy me coffee. And for everybody who's bought me coffee in the last few days, thank you so much. John Bernasconi, buenos dias. The awesome gatekeepers. Janice is a goat keeper. Orlando's with us, checking in from Southwest Virginia. The lovely and talented one, Miss Joan S. And yes, for a reading, go there. The readings have been fire lately. Fire. My guy, Salty Cow, like and subscribe. Thank you. Thanks, Salty. Neil Smith from the Great White North. Nicole DiPaolo, Amy Gill. Night's Light, what's going on? PB in the house. We've got Lauren Ivanchuk. Yes, I'm live. And Laura E. right behind her in Vermont, hanging laundry. Road trip. There's Darlene. We got the Green-Eyed Crow. Our guy, Steven, the Jupiterian. Beth Berry. Candace, great day to you all. Well, we got a great chat today. Is that what get up to? Man, I got Scorpio in my 12th house. My dreams have always been intense. Good morning, champs. Hell yeah, Robert. Keep the ladies sacred. DE. Schedule the plans. There you go. Still light. It's afternoon there. Well, afternoon back at you. Steven's going to New York in October. I love New York. I love New Yorkers. Carol and Moore, up since 4, feels like noontime. Desiree Conrad is back. Hi, Desiree. Dana E. from down in New Zealand, deep in the middle of the night. I guess I can be your Art Bell, if people know what I'm talking about. Amy Gill does have yin yang kitties and a ginger tabby. You have a happy household. Lana's here. My first black and white kitty was named Oreo. I think everybody with a black and white cat into the Oreo at one point. Yeah, nobody names their black and white cat Hydrox. Hydrox, come here, Hydrox. So Darlene has a tuxedo named Frida Catlow. I like that. That's cute. Frida Catlow. The design of Oreo cookies is a creepy design. Yeah, it's got like a sigil in it, doesn't it? Oreo cookie. That's a Longo. That's a topic for Longo. I was hanging out with Longo last night on this live stream. He was doing a lot of the dank. He was doing a lot of the dank. Let's see. Yeah, tabbies talk a lot. I will agree with that. Ms. Lulu's here. You got Kelly B, Catherine Rosen, Lamb Chop, Scrubbies. Scrubbies, hope your sis is making a rebound there. Scorpio 12th house here. Natal Jupiter and Scorpio. Oh my God. I bet your dreams are interesting, Stephen. Moira in NYC is checking in. Paichin Namka. Hi, Paichin. Is it Paichin? Palchin Namka. Namaste. 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 We got a cat crew here. That's pretty clear. Desiree Conrad had a cat, a orange white cat named Samuel Cadams. Samuel Cadams. That is a classy name for a cat. I'm down with Samuel Cadams. I'm definitely down with Samuel Cadams. Okay, here we go. Let's get into the weather. And I hope everybody on the different platforms is seeing this today. This is a landmark day. I'm telling you. In Astro Weather history, it is a landmark day. So we're going to get into this is our. If you're new here, I usually have to do this twice because it doesn't take the first time. Oh, look at that. Maybe StreamYard has fixed their glitch. That would be nice. That would be nice. All right, where the hell are we? We're way down here. Let's do a little zoom in. For all you elders out there, I'm going to zoom in just a little. Get your data a little closer to your face. All right. Look at that, Jupiter. We are about to ingress into Cancer. Wow. Jupiter in Cancer is a nice transit. Man, there is going to be a lot of nationalism with that Jupiter in Cancer. I can tell you that right now. You know what's really interesting? This is Pride Month, right? This is Pride Month. And Pride Month is like a flat beer this year. There's like no buzz around Pride Month. And I think that it has to do with Jupiter, right? Jupiter and Gemini, they pick Gemini as Pride Month. There is no mistake about that, right? Because Gemini represents like the other, so if like you're, one sexual designation, you want to climb the fence and try out another different sexual designation, well, Gemini's your month. But we've had this Jupiter-Saturn square going on for a very long time. And now it's happening during Pride Month, and Jupiter is right at the end of Gemini. So like it's got no juice, and it's still squaring off against Saturn. And I think here Saturn is playing the role of the corporate god. And I don't think corporations are embracing as much alphabet mafia DEI as they've been over the past 10 years. There seems to be a pretty significant sea change. Not everybody, not everything. The NFL just said it's gay. But ever since Dylan Mulvaney tapped into the Bud Light ad, he became a culture changer, but not in the way Bud Light wanted, and not in the way that other brands were hoping Dylan Mulvaney would be. And so what happened is that Bud Light lost a shit ton of business. They had to fire the creative director that was in charge of that whole campaign, who was trying to make Bud Light a lot more fun and a lot more accessible, put a little style in Bud Light. And then Bud Light has to do a deal with Dana White for UFC to rehabilitate the brand, and have Kid Rock drinking another Bud Light. Like they had to shell out a shit ton of money. So they went from Dylan Mulvaney to MMA, right? So ever since then, corporate America has been kind of side-eyed with some of this stuff. You can still see the commercialization of, I guess I would call it DEI, or there is a very thick layer of programming that is still happening. And I did a whole show on it yesterday, and I'm going to come back to that today over on Rumble. But there is, I think, more of a sense in corporate America that they just can't reflexively take a position because they've been kind of hammered. They have been kind of hammered. And so when we look at something like Pride Month, right, which normally is such a big deal, it's in your face, you got flags in your neighborhood, whatever. It's not that. It's not that. It's not all that this year. And I also think that Saturn in Aries is a return to a fundamental, if rigid, pun not intended, masculinity. And we're going to see less and less of this, I don't know, what would you call it? It's really the spread of social Marxism through the aggrieved class and the culture of complaint. We're going to see less of it. You can even see it like what's happening. Karine Jean-Pierre is no longer a Democrat now. She's an independent. This is what I'm talking about. You're going to see all these people, like they're even trying to find these spokesmen. They're trying to find like the liberal Joe Rogan so that they can win back young men. And Sargon of Akkad did a really interesting piece on Hassan Piker. They're trying to promote Hassan Piker as the left's Joe Rogan because he lifts weights. He lifts weights. So this Saturn-Neptune conjunction is going to be very, very interesting. Sometimes with Neptune, we get into over-idealization. And things can go a bit far, right? So there's a lot of myth connected with Neptune and Saturn in Aries. I talked about Hephaestus a couple of weeks ago, the wounded smith in the underworld, which is very Saturn Aries. And you throw in the Neptune component, which is creative. And I think that's an important element to bring into the discussion, because there's nothing wrong with being masculine and being creative, right? There's nothing wrong with that. And it feels to me like if anything, right, there's been this compartmentalization with men. Well, you're either a geek and you're a Silicon Valley bro, and you're kind of a beta, or you're somebody who is just completely chatted out, and you're black pilled and you're incel'd and you're at the other end of the spectrum, right? And it feels to me like there's been this compartmentalization. But with Neptune Saturn conjunction here, this is the upside to it. And the upside feels very Renaissance-like, right? So I feel like Neptune, again, we're talking about masculine energy here, and I'm giving a little bit of shine to man. It feels like Neptune is kind of calling out Saturn to not just fall in line and kind of adhere to these, stereotypical sort of tropes or memes about the new male or whatever, but it's also, Neptune's also saying, hey, look, you're creative, you're imaginative, add that to your game. And to me, Neptune-Saturn conjunction, if applied in the right direction, feels very Renaissance-like, right? We got Saturn coming in and sextiling Pluto, Pluto in Aquarius. I think that's really interesting. It's sort of like rebuilding the masculine structure for a new world. And can things go overboard? Sure, they always can go overboard. But even with Ceres, like over here, nurturing the masculine response, nurturing the divine will. I mean, that's also part of this with this Ceres Neptune conjunction, like nurturing your ability to connect with your higher will, and your higher will is the will of God, right? It is still your will. See, this is what people get confused about. I got free will. Well, you have free will when you connect with your higher will, because when you connect with your higher will, you are connected with this idea, not even this idea, this eminent reality that you have a connection with God, and the choices you make are in alignment with that. this is a beautiful picture of that, right? So this is I think also a very powerful time about the realignment of will. And I think we're starting to see some of that, like Joe Rogan is starting to go to church. You're starting to see people figure out, hey, I'm not really good at piloting the ship on my own. I need a co-pilot here. And the co-pilot would be like a representation of my soul being connected to God, my soul and my physical body having a communion with one another. So this is very interesting, very interesting. We're in that final degree, Venus and Taurus, right there, still trining Mars. They're still doing that beautiful tango, but it's about to come. The dance is about to come to an end. Yes, this springtime Venus-Mars trine, where new life is in the air. It'll still be there for a little while. The early degrees of Taurus, but not too long. But we're moving towards that Venus-Pluto square. What did I say about that yesterday? Beware the contracts ye enter into, because as you do, they are going to be very difficult to unhook yourself from. Yes, that Venus-Pluto square is really the definition of Persephone in the underworld. And I'm going to go on record here. Like, we've already had some of this with Cassie and Diddy, and that's kind of like a Persephone in the underworld story. I likened it to Orpheus and Eurydice, with Alex Fine playing the role of Orpheus. But I think we're going to hear more stories about women who have been trafficked, who have been sex slaved, who have been MK'd. And there may be some prominent men whose names show up here over the course of the next 5 days or so, when we get into that really hardcore Venus-Pluto square, the exposition. And Taurus is all about the flesh, right? It is all about the flesh. I also feel like we're getting very close to coming into the porn backlash. That's very Saturn, Neptune, and Aries. And I think we're going to come into a bit of a porn backlash here. And people are going to be very cognizant of how it literally ruins lives, right? It ruins the lives of the people involved. Not all, some people who are in porn really get into it, right? But it's the end user that porn really fucks with their brain. And for a lot of men, I'll use the word men, who can't have a normal, balanced, kind of hetero relationship, porn gives them this out. And I've dealt with clients, I've had coaching clients who've been addicted to porn. And it is a hard habit to break for a lot of people. So I feel like this Saturn is going to play a role here, right? You're going to see some things with Saturn and Aries, where there's going to be very hard lines with morality. Aries is all about expressing the self and kind of being very instinctual and to some extent free. Saturn's like pumping the brakes. Whoa, let's pump the brakes on that. We're brake pumping. Moon's in Libra today. Lucky us. Fair and balanced. We're fair and balanced in our interactions today. We got a Moon Sun trine, Moon Mercury trine, and that's about the extent of it. And even not even the Mercury. It's really the Moon Sun. This is one of those days where you can see somebody else's point of view and go, you know what? You may have a point there. You may have a point there. I didn't think about it that way. And conversely, they may wind up saying that to you. Because with Gemini, we all love to flip the script, don't we? Well, did you think about it this way? I got into it yesterday a little bit on Twitter. Sometimes it happens. And this is around the show I'm going to be doing at 9/11, 9/10 over on Rumble about Dave Portnoy. And we're going to circle back a little bit to yesterday's show, which was about social engineering and advertising and how prevalent a particular theme has been. And there seems to be no end in sight about this particular theme. But Dave Portnoy kind of went off the rails about somebody making a tasteless remark in one of his bars, and he went nuclear on one of his guys. I'm going to play that clip. I'm going to talk about it later. But one of the things that came out of that was this guy, clearly Canadian, or I don't even know if it's a guy, whatever, said, ban all hate speech for Muslims. No, it was like, ban all hate speech for Muslims, Jews, and Mexicans. I'm like, okay. So I replied, well, what about blacks, queers, trannies, the French? What about them? Do you hold a certain amount of hate and reserve for those people? And it started this cascade of comments, right? And I said, well, would you make this statement? Would you say, ban all Muslims who practice clitorectomies? And he said, ban the practice, not the people. Now he made a grievous error here. A grievous error. Because that is a religious right that the Muslims participate in. So now we're going from freedom of speech to freedom of religion. So I asked him, should we ban mohels that, and this happens, if you get a little weirded out about it, I'll bring it back to Senator Moon and Libra. I'll balance it out, I promise. But should we ban mohels who, when they circumcise these young men at these breasts, when the blood occurs, they literally put their mouth on their penis? Okay? This is a fact. I said, should we ban them as well? And if we do, aren't we tramping on their religious freedoms here in this country, which, by the way, they are allowed to express? As weird and kind of depraved as it sounds, they are not breaking the law based on freedom of religion. Freedom of religion in this country allows you to sacrifice fucking chickens. Okay? And so, did he have a rejoinder? No, he didn't have a rejoinder. Because he opened himself up, right? And this is what Gemini does. You can flip things, you can look at it from another angle, and, you know, we still have 15 degrees of it. It is in the second decan right now, putting it in the Libra decan, which lines it up nicely with Libra Moon rather, which has just moved into the Aquarian decan. So have fun on social media. Seriously though, I mean, this is what the conversation was about. It's about flipping the script, looking at things another way, and, you know, bringing fairness, balance, and justice into the conversation. And he wasn't prepared for that. Was not prepared for that. We got sextiles to Mars today. That's a little spicy, isn't it? If you communicate with a little flair. Leo always likes a little flair. We still have this Mars-Uranus square. And that is a bit shocking. If you're going to shock somebody, do it with flair. Do it with a sense of style, drama. Nice Moon-Pluto trine, although we're kind of moving out of it. By the time we get into the evening, that trine is beginning to dissipate. We're at 11 degrees here. And I think it's like a reaffirmation of values, you know, the values of fairness. And fairness isn't always something that's weak, but fairness is universal. It is a universal thing. It's not just fair for one group of people versus another group of people. Right? Fair is fair. Truth is truth. And we have a sun moon trine today. Easy. Today, like, and this is at a 4-degree angle. Right? So this is easy. Today is kind of an easy day. Yes, we have these squares going on. The Venus-Pluto square, and the Mars-Uranus square. right? But I'd say by and large, this is an easy day. And what I mean by easy is that there is a flow to this day, right? There is a flow. Just approach this day with a sense of equanimity. Equanimity. And even if somebody tries to ruffle your feathers with that Mars-Uranus square, shocking. Also, pay attention to your driving today. Remember, Mars is the chariot, right? And Mars-Uranus squares can be very accident-prone. So keep an eye. Hands on the road, eyes on the road, hands on the wheel, as Jim Morrison used to say. But today is one of those days of equanimity. Today is kind of an easy day. Now, I'm not telling you to take the day off, right? But there is a flow to today. There's a harmonic today that makes it, much more balanced in terms of navigation. And so I would say that is really the theme, is to practice this idea of equanimity through navigation and seeing the other side, but also allowing the other side to see what you're talking about as well. And with the moon in Libra, you can be very cordial about it. Very, very cordial. I'm gonna dive in here a little bit on the real estate side of things. Okay. If you wanted to sell your house, today is a day I would look at putting it on the market. Why? Okay. Well, we have this sun moon trine, which is nice, but the moon is right there at the end of that trine. Pluto is resources. And especially if you've had your house on the market before, and you've had to pull it, and Jupiter is about to go into Cancer. Now, I think ultimately Jupiter's ingress into Cancer will be good for the real estate market, perhaps not immediately, because we're still dealing with that Jupiter-Saturn square, albeit different signs. But give Jupiter 6 weeks to outpace that square, and I think the real estate market is going to pick up. And so I'm telling you this so that you can get ahead of the herd. You can get ahead of the herd. I have 4 houses on my block that are for sale. So I'm going to keep my eye on, they're going to be my litmus. If one of these houses sells in the next 6 weeks, I know that I'm onto something here, and I'll be happy to report back. And if they don't, I'll report back as well. Why? Because I am fair and balanced when it comes to presenting these supposed truths and facts. Okay, get out there, have some fun today. Leo is a fun sign. Gemini is a fun sign. The sextile says, have some fun. Take the top down when it's raining. No, I wouldn't suggest that. But have some fun. Good fun, right? Recreational fun. Play some killer pickleball if you're in that sort of thing. I had an interesting debate about baseball yesterday, and I was noting that baseball has basically been ruined, and it was a sport that I grew up with and I played and absolutely loved. It was like that was my number one sport, baseball. Played it, managed it. When my son was playing baseball, we had some really great teams, won a championship. So baseball has been a big part of my life. And I put this up on Twitter yesterday because I think that 167 people at the Florida Marlins game. And this one, I believe the young man came in and, they said baseball was, created by Masons and it's Thelemites. I know all about that. I know all about it. I know all about the Freemasonic roots of baseball and the sacred numbers. Like the pitching mound is 60 feet, 0.6 inches away from home plate. Not 60 feet, 60.6. Okay, so I know all that stuff. Nonetheless, it is connected to this idea of America, right? That this baseball and America, their stories are intertwined. Like really the first significant sports hero is Babe Ruth. I mean, maybe you can make a case for Jim Thorpe, but it's really Babe Ruth. And Babe Ruth is connected to the rise of New York as a great city and the rise of America as a great country. Babe Ruth is like Paul Bunyan. He's a myth. He's a legend. He's larger than life. And he's connected to that sport. And so what happened? We kind of hashed it out and, came to a place where he just wasn't into it. Right. And I basically said, hey, look, America is a completely esoteric place. The founding fathers were either Freemasons or Rosicrucians. The guys that helped start the Civil War were Theosophists and Freemasons. And I'm talking about the northern side, not the southern side. So this country's roots are entangled with esoterica. This is supposed to be the new Atlantis. So to slice off baseball and just say, well, it is the practice of these esoteric Thelemites, it might be true, but if you dig into the roots of America, it's everywhere. And I mean everywhere. So I still like baseball. In fact, I'm going to be going to Kansas City next week. Not this week, but next week. And I'm going to go see a baseball game in Kansas City with my son. An annual occurrence, a father and son thing. Going to go to Ewan Kauffman Stadium for the first time. All right, let's get into the start of the day territory. And again, if you're new here and you're actually witnessing this on one of these platforms, if you're on if you're on Facebook, it's Astrology for the Now Age. That's where I'm streaming at. Theoretically, I haven't checked, but I will after the show. So, all right, let me go into where are we? Come on now. That's not it. I'm trying to get back to zero. Here we go. Getting back to zero. Okay, we got 187. All right, cool. Let's throw this banner up here, of course, for True Hemp Science. And we're going to get into our True Hemp Science star of the day right here. And of course, True Hemp Science is your one-stop shop for all things CBD. I'm going to take a little right now. Now, this is a kind of off-the-shelf product, and I cannot reveal it. But if you get to know Chris, he might tell you about it. Let's just say it helps with dealing with spike proteins. We'll just leave it at that. So True Hemp Science, get it while you can, boys and girls. Some of the best CBD you can find on the internet or off. I keep texting Greg Abbott about not signing SB3. It's on his desk. They say, look, dude, you sign this, you're going to kill 5,000 independent CBD suppliers in the state and close to 50,000 employees. That is going to have an impact on local economies. And you know what's going to happen with those CBD places? They're going to turn to Kratom. Kratom is going to become huge in the state of Texas. Now, the state of Texas meets every 2 years unless they have a special session. So I guarantee you 2 years from now, they'll put Kratom in the crosshairs. But those places are going to stay in business by hyping Kratom and sort of scaling back from the CBD. So anyway, if you go to True Hemp Science, type in 15MINS, spend $100 more, you will get the goodie bag. You'll be happy you got the goodie bag. You're going to get some of the gummies, maybe a vial or two of some tinctures. It's like an order within an order. $150 more, get you free shipping, and there's always a 30-day money-back guarantee. All right, let's talk about Bob Kraft. Bob Kraft is the owner of the New England Patriots and has created and amassed a fortune. The Patriots at one time were the winningest team. They still are, I believe, in the history of the NFL. They had Bill Belichick, who was sort of the Darth Lord of coaching until he found kryptonite known as Jordan Hudson. And Bob Kraft and Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, you had the owner, you had the the coach, you had the star player, and they were all, for the most part, simpatico. Although I don't think that Kraft and Belichick got along. So I look at Bob Kraft's chart, and I got to tell you, if this was my client, I would be hard pressed. Maybe I would eventually get there, but I would be hard pressed in some ways to nail this chart as a titan of a sports franchise, because he does not have a very spectacular chart. But I'll tell you where Bob Kraft is in his chart. I'll tell you. And it's how he makes his fortune. So we know he's a Gemini. There's nothing really going on with his sun except that square with Mars. And here he is with Diddy. He said Diddy was a great guy and that he should own an NFL franchise someday. How many people do you think have Diddy's metaphorical ejaculation all over them? A lot. And some of them is not too metaphorical. One of the people that comes out of the Diddy world is a guy by the name of Meek Mill. And I did a show on this once. And Meek Mill became Bob Kraft's therapy animal. They were inseparable. Bob Kraft even flew him to Germany to take him to a Holocaust museum. I mean, they're hanging out at Bob's at the weekend. Like Meek Mill and Bob are everywhere. And if you follow the sordid Diddy world, there is a tape of Meek Mill making very meek sounds on that tape. And it brings into question just what the hell is Bob Kraft's relationship with Meek Mill about? Well, we got that Sun-Mars square in Mars in Pisces. Right down there, third house. Oh, we're just friends. We're just buddies. Just like how Jerry Buss and Magic Johnson were just buddies. But where does Bob Kraft really make his fortune? It is with his wife. He marries the daughter of a cardboard magnate. So for the first part of Bob Kraft's professional life, he's in the family business. Let's go to that sixth house. Taurus, Saturn, Uranus, sixth house. That's cardboard, right? Like that's fucking cardboard. You have both the material, Taurus, and the sale and distribution, sixth house, right? And then Jupiter is going to be the thing that he is going to springboard. He's going to capitalize on that relationship, on that marriage. We have Jupiter right here on the seventh house cusp in Gemini. And what's it doing? Sextiling Pluto, other people's resources in the eighth house. Bob Kraft is working it. Jupiter, Pluto trine, Uranus, Pluto trine, even a Saturn, Pluto trine, right? So he is doing the daily grind here, and he's capitalizing on other people's money. That's right, other people's money. Now, one of the things that Bob Kraft likes to do, he likes to play the role of a philanthropist, and he gives to a lot of religious causes, let's say. And one of the religious causes that he gives to is stopping hate speech. And he was behind these Super Bowl ads, I think over the last couple of Super Bowls, where it's very clear what he means by stopping hate speech. It is mostly, it's kind of universal, but at the end of the day, we sort of know what kind of hate speech Bob wants to stop, right? He's also a huge benefactor and a philanthropist for Israel. He loves Israel, right? So we have a lot of philanthropic energy going on here. Saturn, Uranus, Jupiter, trining Neptune. Neptune on the midheaven is very interesting, but it's also conjunct his true node in Virgo, right? So he's going to be a 10th house person, but how he maneuvers that is very interesting. So he gets into the cardboard business with his wife, and his wife passes away. She's passed away now, I don't know, what, 10 years, maybe a bit longer. As soon as she does, he's fucking hanging out with Meek Mill, right? Meek Mill is everywhere, the basketball games, he's in Diddy World. Like, he's making some very odd choices when it comes to like his peer group, who come from a very different culture and are a lot younger, right? A lot younger. And he's playing from the Bill Belichick playbook before Bill Belichick did with Jordan Hudson. But my feeling about that is that she's just arm candy. She's just a beard for Bob. Also, Bob was arrested at a massage parlor, I think in Jupiter, Florida, and he got caught up in a wasn't a sting, it was surveillance. And there are all these young women who were brought in, mostly from China, by the way, and they take away their passports, and they're basically forced to do rub and tugs. And Bob went to the rub and tug and got busted. Nothing ever happened to old Bob, right? Because he's got the skids greased there a little bit. He's got the moon in Libra, moon in the 11th house. So in the football world, on some level, he's well liked. On another level, he's not. Because Jerry Jones, who is living, is in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Bob Kraft is not. And the owners know something about Bob Kraft. They know something about his personal life. And you can see this Moon-Pluto square right there, right? What's hidden. And we got Chiron and Aries conjunct Pluto in the 8th house. I think Bob gets a little freaky deaky. And he's got, so he, in the community, it's like, oh yeah, he's a good owner. Yeah, he gives to all these charities. But in the owner circle, there's a reason why he's not been elected to the pro. And it's because of what's in his closet. And people who know about Bob Kraft understand that. So how he got to own the New England Patriots is an interesting story. There was a stadium that they used to play in called Foxborough Stadium. And Bob was able to manage buying the parking rights to Foxborough Stadium. So it's like he's got a foot in that world. And to me, that's very Neptune, like on the midheaven, right? He's kind of veiling his intent in some ways. So the Patriots go through a difficult time. They have this guy, Victor Kiam, who owns, I believe, Schick Razors. And he's the owner for a while. And he runs into some financial problems. The team starts to falter. And it changes hands. And there's this intermediate owner. I don't know the guy's name. But he's thinking about moving the team to St. Louis, which is where the Rams would ultimately go. But he's thinking about going to St. Louis. Like, the New England Patriots were very close to becoming the St. Louis Patriots. And the guy who owns the parking lot, right, he kind of blocks it. It's Bob Kraft. He uses a little lawfare to block it. And then what does he do? He leverages his parking lot stake with the bank. Right? He's able to leverage that. Like, that is income. That is guaranteed generated income. So once he got the parking lot rights, he was able to get into that 8th house, other people's money, right? There's that Saturn, Uranus, Jupiter sextile. Bank's going to loan him money. He gets a few minor investors, and he buys the New England Patriots. But it doesn't happen until he gets the freaking parking lot, right? And that's even a very third house thing, with Mars down here. The third house to me is it's the fucking parking lot. You drive to a place and you park your fucking car. Like, that is the third house. And he's able to kind of mastermind this with the Mercury-Mars trine. He does not have a remarkable chart. He only has that Mars-Sun square, That's the only thing. And his sun is in the 7th house, so he has to self-actualize through a marriage to a person that, let's be honest, I'm not, he can say anything he wants. He's got some kids. But I think Bob is hitting from the other side of the plate now. That I guarantee you. He's hitting from the other side of the plate. But if you want an example of somebody who has maximized their chart, this is the chart you want to look at. Because I don't think it's an exceptionally strong chart. But at the same time, he's really maxed out this angle of the chart, right? The everyday shit, the cardboard, Do you think Bob Kraft wants to be known as a cardboard baron? Fuck no. He wants to be known as the guy he is today, but he's able to leverage that. And he's able to leverage that. He's able to leverage the 4th house. And even, let's just talk a little bit about Pallas in Scorpio. That is a very, very clever and insightful placement. Very instinctual. And of course, he has Sagittarius on the ascendant, so he's always looking to expand. Right? That is the nature of Sagittarius on the rising, on the ascendant. You're either looking to expand your midsection or you're looking to expand your reach into the world. Well, Pallas in Scorpio gives him the instinctual chops in order to make those moves. And so you would think that a minor placement like this might just be minor. Oh, no, it's not. It is a major placement because it's on the ascendant of Bob Kraft's chart. And instinctually, he knows what to do. He knows what moves to make. So don't let anybody, for a long time, I didn't read asteroids because I thought they were inconsequential. And I started to read more and more and more about asteroids. I'm like, no, they mean a lot. And they're very important in the chart. And so even here, right, like you can go to his 9th house. So he has Vesta and Leo. And it's like, okay, well, that's sort of like his relationship with his wife. Long marriage, she dies. Oh, Juno and Virgo right on the other side of that. So Bob Kraft is more than ready, willing, and able to reinvent himself in a very new way once that long-standing relationship, the eternal flame, has been, well, shall we say, snuffed out. So there you go. The crafty one, Bob Kraft, owner of the New England Patriots. All right, so this ends our very first day, our very, very first day of streaming on these other platforms. And I'm very curious as to how it all went. I'll have to go back and look. Let's see. Any comments here before we get out of here? Any relevant comments? Now he's known as the Asian massage parlor guy. That is the least of what he wants to be known for. You don't want to dive into his Meek Mill social profile. Trust me. It is strange and just slightly troubling. And I will spare you the Meek Mill recording from Diddy World. But a lot of you have an imagination, and sometimes a dark one. And perhaps you can go there without my prompting. All right, we're out of here. I'm headed over to Rumble. Let me throw the Rumble link in the chat for you folks who want to join me. This is another kind of aspect of what I do here. It's a little bit different. It's a bit more rooted in social commentary and some journalism. I do bring some astrology into it as well. So there you go, right there. And that's it. There will be no Friday Forecast tomorrow because I'm going to be on the road. But we'll be back on Sunday night for another edition of Sunday Night Astro Live. So until then, you know what to do. Take care of yourself. Treat each other well. God bless. Love you all. Robert Phoenix signing off for now.